Welcome to Bay State Golf. I'm Sean Mealy. I'm trying to play every golf course in the state of Massachusetts. That's public, private, 9 holes, 18 holes. Today's episode, we're going to talk about 8 different 9-hole golf courses in 4 different categories. Before we get to those golf courses, just a quick plug to subscribe, like this video, helps other people find my content. You can also subscribe to my newsletter. That's at baystategolf.beehive.com. That's BEEHIIV.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, baystate_golf. With all that, let's get to these 8 9-hole golf courses that might be worth checking out before this season ends in the fall, or maybe a good spot to go visit early next spring. 9-hole golf is great, and there is a huge variety in Massachusetts. So what I thought I would do is I created just 4 categories. They are not connected to each other. They're not ranking golf courses. I just figured these are kind of different ways to possibly outline what someone might be looking for as far as a 9-hole golf course. The 4 categories that I picked pretty arbitrarily are golf courses. There's 2 I picked with views. 2 I picked that are just stern tests. If you're looking for a good, hard 9-hole golf course to go play, these 2 will challenge you. We've got golf courses that are just a little bit more novel as far as 9-hole golf courses, just a little quirky, a little different. You get something that you won't really find anywhere else. And then finally, the dive bar 9-hole golf courses. Rough, shaggy around the edges. You might be paying cash, you might be paying at the bar, but the golf courses are pretty good. They're just maybe not in the greatest shape. So let's start with golf courses, 9-hole golf courses that have a view. Truro, Massachusetts has Highland links. You go all the way out to the edge of Cape Cod, the last golf course before you hit Provincetown, before you hit the end of Massachusetts on the East Coast. Highland Links is a pretty shaggy, simple, straightforward 9-hole golf course. It has the word links in it, and in this case, it measures up just because of where it is. It is linking, the sea to the fertile land, which is really what links means as far as Scottish golf courses and Irish golf courses that are on the coast. It starts off pretty straightforward, a very short first hole just to get away, get out into the more extreme land. Second hole, great view. Then you play 3, 4, 5, 6. You have a view of the lighthouse, which is pretty stunning. You have a view of the ocean. You've got a couple little secret tee boxes. The third hole, if you climb up through the woods, you get to this cool tee box that takes the third hole from an uphill hole to more of like you're hitting from plateau to plateau. You can hear the ocean. Just a really stunning, lovely golf course. As you can see in the video here, the day that I played it, I played in the morning and then also in the evening. The fog never lifted, the clouds never lifted, so I got some pretty moody, spooky kind of golf in September of 2025 when I went out and played. You're gonna hit some hard golf shots here. It's not an easy golf course per se. Some blind shots, you're hitting over this there's almost just a big ditch that runs, just swale that runs through the middle of a lot of the golf course, especially between 4, 5, and 6, where you're running up and down. But you get some blind shots. You have there's a couple par 5s in there. So you're playing legitimate golf in a beautiful setting. Highland Links, go check it out. Try to play it early, get a sunrise, or play it later in the day and get a sunset. As soon as I walked off the second 9 in the evening when I went and played, the sun came out. Got some nice pictures and video of the lighthouse and parts of the golf course. Kind of regret not just paying another $20 and going and grabbing a 7-iron of my camera and just going and playing, but I did not do that. I was on a long Cape Cod golf trip and had already played 27 holes that day. The other 9-holer with views, and we're sticking with water views here. There are definitely some mountain golf courses, maybe that I haven't even played yet. I only recommend golf courses that I have played, visited, photographed, and reviewed and videoed. But Cape Ann is a place I tell a lot of people to go and play. It is in Essex, Mass. It is golf on the marsh. You get some really good views, especially from the 4th hole, the 7th hole. Got some hard golf shots, some thrilling golf shots. It's pretty affordable, cheap golf, and it's a good 9-holer. This fall and spring are good times to go play Cape Ann because the greenheads have gone away. It can be a pretty tough round in the summer because those greenheads are pretty nasty. They bite, and they affect Cranes Beach up there as well. So that North Shore area on the water, better to visit in the fall and the spring. So good time of year to go and play Cape Ann. Really love the 4th hole. It's one of my favorite holes in the state. John Updike has written about this golf course. He was a member at Myopia and would sneak out and play Cape Ann pretty often, and wrote some lovely words about the golf course. Famous writer, loved golf, and had some very nice things to say about Cape Ann. Love the 4th hole. The 7th hole is a diabolical par 3. If you want to play from the tips, it's almost like 240 yards to a tiny, tiny green. You could play it from a little shorter. If the wind blows, it's a good golf course. If it's firm and fast, it's fun. So Cape Ann in Essex, Mass is another golf course that's a 9-holer with great views. Let's talk about golf courses that are 9 holes but offer a legitimate stern test of golf. I think a lot of times people think about 9-holers and they think shorter golf courses, they don't need to bring a whole bag. They can bring 4 or 5 clubs, or they won't hit all the clubs. These 2 golf courses measure up as far as challenge. The first is Bayberry Links in Yarmouth. Played here this summer on a lovely evening. You would think with the name Links, you might be close to the water like with Highland Links. Not the case. Most of the golf courses within earshot of the highway, busy roads. You walk through a tunnel from the 1st hole to get to the 2nd, and from the 8th to get to the 9th. You're going under a busy road there. So the links part doesn't match up with the land that it's on as far as being close to the water. But, it's got the fescue, it's got rolling land. It's built on an old landfill, which gives it the humps and bumps and the rolling land that you do see when you're out there. From the tips, it measures 3,300 yards. So it is a full test of golf. It's got some good short drivable par 4s. The 7th in particular was one that I was charmed by. The 6th hole right before it is a hard, long par 4. You're hitting driver, maybe 6, 7, 8 iron. Tough tee shot. Greens are huge. Greens are sloped. And they're at a good speed where they can kind of use the slope and put pins in places that maybe you wouldn't necessarily be able to if the greens were a little faster, if it was a private golf course and they wanted to speed them up. But at the speed they run, at the size they are, they can give a bunch of challenge. You can hit your irons okay, hit a green, and then have very, very long putts. So Bayberry Links, it starts with a par 3, it ends with a par 3. They're both mid-iron shots. I hit 6 iron on both of those holes. The 9th is over water, kind of an intimidating final shot for a 9-hole golf course. Got some dog legs. I think the one thing that is not frustrating about Bayberry Links, but it's just you find yourself wanting more, I don't know, vistas or ability to kind of see more of the golf course. But there's a lot of times where you're sitting in the ground, in the mounds. Then you get to the 6th green and you can see a nice amount of the golf course, and that gives you a little bit of a view. But there is that feeling. You might feel like you're just kind of down low, always hitting up, maybe then walking down to the next tee and then hitting up again. But overall, a really good stern test if you are looking for that in a 9-hole golf course and you happen to be on the Cape. So we're going to go back. I realize we've gone on the views from the Cape to the North Shore. We're going to do the same thing for this stern test piece. We went from the Cape. We're going to go back up to the North Shore. We're going to go to Old Newbury, which is a semi-private 9-hole golf course. They have an interesting setup where Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you can go and play as a public golfer without a member. And then Thursday through Sunday, it is a closed shop to public play. So that's one thing just to keep in mind. I went and played here last November with Jed and Burke, 2 of my kind of regular golfing guys. None of us had ever been up there before. We were all really impressed, and as we went around, we thought, man, this would be a tough place to play a qualifier in, to just keep your handicap. Greens are pretty severe, a lot of false fronts. The first hole is a really tough opening tee shot, and you play some golf on the marsh. The fifth hole, I'm sure in the summer when the greens might be humming a little bit, plateau up high. Any miss gets rejected down slopes, false front, tricky tee shot. The fourth is another really good par four. They're doing some work there. There is, I guess, some drainage issues because it is, surrounded by a marsh, and their master plan looks like they're going to actually reroute the golf course too. So the first hole won't be the first hole anymore. I think the fourth hole will be, or the third hole will be the first hole. That tee box is kind of close to the green, and then the ninth hole, which is a diabolical par three. That I almost hit the clubhouse both times we went through. You got to hit a 3-wood. It's way uphill. They're moving that green down. So they're doing some work to make it maybe a little easier, or at least a little bit more manageable, but it's another good test of golf. We played it twice when we went around. It was like 45 degrees when we teed off. It was a cold November afternoon late in the season. But the golf course at that point was in good shape. It was pretty dry. It was firm. It was bouncy. And we thought, man, this is a pretty good stern test of golf. So Old Newbury and Bayberry links are 2 9-holers. If you're looking for a little bit of challenge, either late this season or in the spring, or really any time, worthwhile checking out those 2 golf courses. All right, for a bit of novelty, some places that are a little different. We're going to stay up kind of on the North Shore. Tewksbury has Treehouse. Now, what makes this a novelty golf course is the fact that it is owned by a brewery, and they bought Tewksbury Country Club, however you want to pronounce it. As someone who grew up here, I still don't know how to pronounce that town name. But the golf course is fine. You play up. There's a handful of par threes. It's a little just quirky in how they set up. They got big beer cans. They don't have their tee markers are all colored and designed. So they've created something that's a little bit different. You can get Treehouse beers on the golf course, and it's just a different kind of atmosphere because it's owned by a huge, well-known local brewery who has slowly expanded their tentacles out into all parts of Massachusetts and even New England at this point. And they kind of just do everything well. And I think they've done pretty well as far as just getting this golf course up and running. They have a huge clubhouse where you can get pizza, you can get beer, you can hang out on a patio and watch players come in on the 9th hole. So Treehouse is definitely worth a place just to check out for the novelty of it. The golf course is not going to blow you away. It's pretty flat. It's kind of an awkward walk, especially after the first few holes. You take a long walk after 1 to get to 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is all in a spot, and then 8, 9. You're walking a little bit again through the marsh. It can get pretty wet, so another place that maybe in the fall is a better time to go and see it when the weather's been a little bit dry. And then the other one, not a full golf course. It's a par 28. It's a place that I've been a few times. We're going back down over the bridge to the Cape. Cotuit High Grounds in Cotuit is just a quirky, entertaining, fun wedge fest. Like I said, it's a par 28, so they've got 8 par 3s, 1 par 4 that measures like 280 yards. Bring your wedges. You can go around. You could bring 1 club with you and play it. You could bring a whole bag with you if you wanted to. Great little community, good little barn, get some food, hang out outside on the patio afterwards. Just another really just cool, laid back, wear shorts, wear jeans, go out. People play barefoot if that's your kind of thing. Just a very cool kind of neighborhood 9. People will walk across the street from their house. People bring dogs. It's just one of those places that is definitely worth a visit if you're down on the Cape. They're usually open throughout the year too, so it's another good winter spot to go and play. Definitely be patient. Don't go trying to shoot a number. The greens are minuscule. They're sloped. They're hard to hit. But if you go and play it a few times, you can kind of figure out where to miss, where to hit if you really want to go and shoot a number, or if you just want to go grab a beginner, grab someone who's never played golf before, a really good place to introduce someone to golf. So those are the two novelty spots. That's Treehouse and Cotuit. And then two dive bars. John F. Parker, this was the 99th golf course I played on my quest. So played it a few years ago. I was kind of impressed with just how good this golf course could potentially be. Rolling land, the greens are interesting. You hit a couple approach shots uphill, you're hitting a couple downhill, some tougher par threes, super laid back. I think I paid at the bar in cash, walked up as a single on a Monday afternoon, not a bother in the world. Walked the first 6 holes by myself, paired up with 2 guys for the last few holes. So a good dive bar, and in my mind a dive bar is a place where you know what you're going to get. You're going to pay a pretty low price. You're not going to have greens that are rolling great. And sometimes a dive bar can also just be a bad golf course. And in this case, that's not what John F. Parker is like. It's a pretty good golf course. You can hit driver. You're going to hit 3-wood. There's a couple short par 4s. You can hit irons off tees. You're going to have to hit some longer irons into some of the par 3s. So you go and you feel like you're playing golf there, but it is definitely a dive bar. You're going to get some rough lies. You might want to be, you might roll it over in the fairway kind of place if that's your style. But you're going to walk off 9 and think like, oh, I feel like I played a round of golf. And for me, a dive bar that has that kind of energy is one that's worth visiting. And then the last one, we're going to go out west to Monson, Massachusetts, and Quail-Bog Country Club, which feels very much like a dive bar. Rolling hills. I played here in October, so it was kind of a nice fall morning. You don't get views, but you're in the foliage. You feel like you're in the mountains. There's some holes up in the kind of the side of the hill that the golf course is kind of tucked into. And it's another dive bar. You are going to get some rough lies. You're going to get some funny bounces. Balls might carry into the woods. You're going to have trees in your way, even if you're in the fairway. That's how a dive bar works for the most part. And you just have to look past those things and understand that you're playing a golf course that is cheap to play, that might not have a big maintenance staff. But again, rolling hills, you're playing uphill, you're playing downhill, reachable par 5s. You can hit a bunch of shots off tees. You could bring 4 clubs. You could bring all your clubs. A pretty good little, I wouldn't call it a hidden gem, but for where it is, there's not a lot of golf in that area. So it's a spot that I'm sure people value who live close by and can go play 9 holes in pretty quick order. And you could even just play 6 holes if you're a member. Like the 6th hole comes back to the clubhouse, and then you go back out for 7, 8, 9. So that's another one that I would suggest if you are interested in seeing some foliage. If you're interested in playing, when I went and played it, I actually played the ranch in the afternoon, so I made it a 27-hole day. And Monson is on the way out there. So even if you're playing some golf out in that area and you're looking for an emergency 9, or I used it as like a little warm-up 9 before continuing out to the ranch. That's another nice thing about dive bars is if you're tacking it on to another day, right? If you're walking around the city and you're seeing the sights and you just want to pop in for a beer, that's a good dive bar in my mind. And that's what Quail-Bog is out in Monson. So to quickly review, here are the 8 golf courses that I picked out here. A lot of Cape Cod golf, and I think that's partly because Cape Cod golf has a really diverse set of types of golf courses. You've got places like Cotuit that are par 28, and then you've got places like Highland Links that are par 36, par 35, and you've got some challenge there, and then you've got places like Bayberry Links that is a legit challenge and a tough golf course. I just went on a trip out to the Cape, so some of these golf courses are on my mind as well, but I think it speaks to just the diversity there, and also on the North Shore. So I know that there's a lot of places out west. I would love to hear from you what golf courses you think fall in these categories. What are some 9-holers that give you some views? What are some 9-holers that you feel like are a stern test? Ones that are novelty item, maybe they're not a full 9-hole par 35, par 36, or they've just got something added to them that makes them a little bit different. And then what are some dive bar 9s? I grew up playing a dive bar 9. I grew up playing Maynard Country Club, which is now Maynard Golf Course. So they have a special place in my heart. Where are some dive bar 9s that you like to play, enjoy playing? There's a bunch of other ones that I could go on a list, but those are the ones. We've got Highland links and Cape Ann for the views. We've got Bayberry links and Old Newbury for the challenge. We've got John F. Parker in Taunton and K-Bog in Monson for that dive bar feel. And then we've got Treehouse and Cotuit for those novelty 9s that might be a little bit more laid back, low stress, go have some fun, hit some shots, bring some beginners, have some beers and all that kind of stuff. Drop a note in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts on these golf courses and any other ones that fall in these categories. There are bunches around the state that all fall into these 4. Would love to get a cool list, hear from other people who have places that are near and dear to their heart. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and we will see you next time on Bay State Golf.